plus the wall, how that's where.
Nachman, you want to sit closer? I have a big Talmud Chacham here. Makes me nervous. Here, I just want to review because we're learning a lot of different inyanim, which was all moving off from the Hagah in the Nefesh HaChaim. Just do a bit of a chazar. The Gemara says in Brachos that when you say shmona esrei, so Rabbi Shlomo Levi says you have to bow down, and the shir of the Hashtachava is ad shispakaku kol achulya shebagav. Yispakaku kol achulya shebagav was lashon yispakaku. And so Rashi says this appears only one more time in the whole Shas, lashon of pakak, even though it's a modern Hebrew word. But yispakaku means to separate. And the goyin we're going to learn inside is medayik, that it's not talking. This is not an avodah of the chuliyos. This is an avodah of the yispakaku al chuliyos. And from a physiological point of view, there's the chuliyos, and there's the which is the shidra, and then there's the chut hashidra, which is the spinal cord. That's different. It's a different thing biologically. So you have your vertebra. And then you have the chut hashidra, and yispakaku is what happens is the nervous center, explained physiologically, the central nervous system in the head is in the back of your head, and that goes down your spine physically. This is the gashmi, so it shows on an X-ray. It goes down your spine and goes between your vertebra and goes out to your whole body. And just had a diagram of exactly what affects what. It's a gewaldic how if you have a pain in the extremities of your fingers, or neuropathy in the extremity of your fingers. So if a person's a chacham and knows how to do, if you know how to do this chiropractic fix, so the fix is not in your fingers. The fix is in the chut hashidra, where the nervous system comes out to that. And you could even someday show how the Yud Ches Chuliyos match up with the Yud Ches Brachos of the Shemona Esrei. It's really actually hafla the fellow to understand that this is the Avodas Hayadayim, this is the Avodas Habeten, etc. Where do you do tshuva? But Yispakaku is talking about that you're giving koach, in the Pashut Pshat, you're giving koach to your entire guf, which is what the nervous system does, the energy system of the body. It all goes through the chulia, and yispakaku means that you're opening up the whole nervous system. So it's not the chuliyos per se, but it's the chut hashidra, it's the spinal cord, which does it. If you'll, I'll just go back. I do have a diagram. Oh. My biology course. Now it's. Just to get the Gashmias out of the way before we understand this in a deep way, the kasha everybody asks is that Yud Ches Chuliyos Shebashidra, there's 32 vertebrae. What's the Yud Ches Chuliyos Shebashidra? The Gra also asked that kasha. This is not a new kasha of the bloggers. The guy asked this question. He has a beautiful mahalach in what it is, but. So first of all, Ibshat, Rabbi Shlomo Levi doesn't say until Achi Yispakaku Kol HaChuliyos. That's how Yud Ches Chuliyos. The 18 of the 32 have to separate. And I'll tell you something. Meaning Chazal understood that there's 18 vertebrae which are the Iker vertebrae in terms of controlling the body per se. This is going to become very important to understand the ruchnius of it. This, by the way, is a Mefurish Mishnah in Ahalais. Is there Mishnais somewhere? In Parak Aleph, Mishnah Zayin or Mishnah Ches, over there, maybe you Mishnais, Ahalais, Taurus. Over there, the Mishnah beautifully rechens ois the Ramach. Thank you. Zayin or Mishnaches. Oh, Mishnaches. Masayim varboim u'shmona evarim ba'adam, right? It's not Hasidus, it's a Mishnah. There's Ramach evarim u'shisa gidin. So shisa 200, right? Shisa gidin. So Masayim Ramach, Masayim varboim u'shmona evarim ba'adam. Shloishim b'pisas haregel, shisha b'chol etzba, asara b'karsel, shnayim b'shoich, chamisha b'arkuva, echad b'yorech, shloisha b'katlas. Chazal. That's amazing. Achas esrei tzla'is, you have 11 ribs. Shloishim b'pisas hayad, shisha b'chol etzba, shnayim b'kona, shnayim b'marpek, echad b'zroya arba b'kasev, meya v'echad mizeh, meya v'echad mizeh. Right, the whole 248 is clear. Ushmaila esrei chulya shebeshidra. Tisha barosh. Shmaina b'tzavar. So how many is that? Tisha barosh.
17.
Hello. Shmaina esrei chulya shebeshidra. Tisha barosh. Shmaina b'tzavar. Shisha b'mafteach shel halev. This is the chulias he's talking about. The chamisha bin kavav, which is down here. I'm sorry. Which is down here. So you have your cervical, your thoracic, your lumbar, and your sacral, right? So of this, the 18. You see that the Mishnah says. So which 18 does it talk about? It tells you 18 chuliyos shebashidra, tisha barosh, shmoida b'tzavar, shisha b'mafteach shalalev, v'chamisha b'nekavav. So which ones are we talking about?
28 also.
Right. So where do you get 18? Right. Where do you get 18? So let's say you take chamisha b'nekavav. That's 5. Shisha b'mafteach shalalev is 11. Right. And Shmona B'Tzavar is 19. And how many brachas are there really?
19.
Oh. And the Gemara says, what about the Birchas Aminim? Oh, Chasrei, hi, Lashon the Gemara, hi Shmona Esrei, Chasrei Haber. That's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara says that there's a little there's a little vertebrae here, probably the luz. There's a little vertebrae there, and we count that one. That's the Birchas Aminim. Kasha we asked last time is like Havla Vavela. This is the one that if that's the luz, that's the luz. That's what the Rishonim say. That Chasrei b'diuk the luz, which is Kam b'tchias hamesim, and it's Eino Nevad Lo'elam. That's the Birchas Haminim.
That does make sense.
We can design, right? It's a steer b'nei obey. It will make sense in a minute.
It was on the bottom. The Maral says on the bottom.
Right. Let's go with the Rishonim the other way around. The Maral says on the bottom.
Oh.
But the Rishonim says on top. Over here. C1 for those of you that visit chiropractors.
First surgery.
Right. C1.
For those who see real doctors.
But, you know, by the way, I don't get a commission from chiropractors here, but it's a real chachma. The question with the doctors have with chiropractors, because that's the way it works. That's the way the nervous system works. Nobody's chaylik on that. It's not like a magical zakisha here. The machlokes of the doctors are, can they safely adjust the nerves in a way that it'll actually work, and especially when they start with the luz there, with the C1, C2, C3, you know, so this bothers the doctors because it's such a delicate nervous area that they say you could, God forbid, cause a stroke. Although the chiropractor told me he's done this well over 100,000 times, never made even one stroke. So you know,
Stroke of luck.
right? You know, I'm saying it's a shosher rechoika, but that's out of the realm of this shear here. But what I'm saying is that when you count 19, the Gemara says, so it's talking about including that luz, which is the birchas haminim, which I want to be able to explain, which is the birchas haminim, which is the luz, which is the one that doesn't get decomposed when you get buried, and it's the one that's come with chiyas habeis. So haloi davar hu. We explained, and I'm going to get to the Mishkan in a second, that the Gemara says a little further, the Gemara, that if you don't bow down correctly in shmona esrei, yispakaku kol hachuliyos shebeshidra. So then, upon the process of decomposition, your spine will turn into a nachash. You know, I mentioned this last time that in yoga there's a Kundalini. So the Kundalini, I just looked it up. The Kundalini is the word in Indian for a snake. So in the yoga avoda, which is not avoda satira, what in the Kundalini yoga, what they're trying to do is take the snake. It's called Kundalini. It's on the bottom of the spine. That's the part that in an animal would turn into a tail. The tailbone, which would turn into a tail, an animal. In other words, and that's why the Maral says that that's the luz down there, the tailbone. That's the chiluk. Hardly anything, but we're not growing tails. But that's called the snake, and that snake, what their avoda is, lahavdil, is to take the sexual energy and the energy from the bottom of the body, which is down here, the sacral, and to bring that, which is a very strong energy, like the Gaon says, that the energy of Yetzer Hara is much stronger than the energy of Yetzer Hara. If you're doing Haveri, it's much more exciting. You have much more koichas. It gets all your adrenaline going. You know, very hard. You know, you don't see this except for by big Hasidic Rebbes when they're shaking a lulav. You know, like there's kind of excitement of somebody's going to the ball game, or something. You know, like it's a different type of excitement. But what they're doing is their meditation is to take all that koach hayetzer, if you will, and to bring it up. And our avoda is the other way around, and you see this in the Gemara, is to work from top down, is to bring the koach of the rosh and the keser, to bring it into the goof. It seems like it's almost the same thing, but it's a very, very different thing. In other words, we are affecting the Kundalini, not the Kundalini affecting us. I'm supposing that we don't know that the Hasidim Rishonim, I don't even know who they were. The Hasidim Rishonim, the Gemara says that they were meditating for an hour, koydem tefillah, sha'achas lifnei tefillah, during tefillah, sha'achas acher tefillah. I don't know who the Hasidim Rishonim were. I don't know who it's referring to, and I also don't know what they did there for an hour. What they do? We're not talking about having kavanah and davening. Talking about there was a meditation, but what?
Doesn't it say Pashtus Sachona?
Where does it say that?
I remember seeing it in the Simra. I don't know where they were.
I mean, that's pshat, but the Pashtus Sachona means that. I mean, the pashut of pshat is that they were understanding what's going on in their world, in their life, that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is controlling everything. So here's the thing. The Sfas Emes says that just keep me on track, or because I tend to go. The Sfas Emes says that what happened there in Gan Eden with the Nachash, who was become a skufa, is the Nachash was able, that in Shamayim, to put it in a language that we can understand, as I can understand, in Shamayim there are two generators. There's the generator of Kedusha, and then there's the Sitra Achra, which is also a generator. Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu did this, I don't know, probably to make Bechira, maybe to make different type of energy in the world, but there's a Sitra Achra. You can get your Koach, as I explained many times, from the Makar of Kedusha, you get your Koach from the Sitra Achra. It's not necessarily visible to the naked eye where a person's getting their koach from, but everything that's tameh in this world, tumah, the Matthias of tumah, is coming from the Sitra Achra. Everything that's kadosh is coming from the Makar of Kedusha. When we daven in benching, we say that we want our pardasa to come, ki im liyodcha, hamleya, absucha, kedosha, v'harchava. What we're talking about, the yodcha, is talking about the Makar of Kedusha. And that means all the parnasa that we have should come from that. It shouldn't come through Geneva, it shouldn't come through Gazela, it shouldn't come through even Machshavas Reis. It should all come from a makar of Kedusha. Hard to get rich that way, but that's a makar of Kedusha, as opposed to coming from the Sitra Achra. And you see even Hilchos Tzedakah, and some of the Gedolim are makbid not to take tzedakah money from somebody who are in their money the wrong way. Well, it's ending up good, he's doing a good thing, why not be Mizaki him? It's all true, but the fact of the matter is, first of all, you can't give money that you don't have. That's how I hear is, like there's no grace of godless to give away money you stole. But that's just a mitzvah of Haber. But besides that, there's defiled and kedusha in that money. It's the sitra achra. The sitra achra doesn't last. The big havchana that we do see between something which comes from koach kedusha and something comes from koach sitra achra. All the movements of the world that were so big, the Roman Empire, that were so big, they didn't last. Nothing lasts. What lasts is the koach kedusha that goes from father to child and goes on for generations. And here we are, Klal Yisrael is here because of the koach of kedusha. What the Nachash was saying to Chava is, you don't need the koach kedusha. I'll show you a different koach. Shamayim speaks this out, but it's from the Arizal. You don't need the koach of kedusha to live. You can be kelihim. You can get your koach from the sitra achra. And Chava unfortunately bought that and incorporated the sitra achra into her. This has a svasemes that the hishtachavoyos of the shmona esrei is a shvira of the sitra achra shehita ba nachash.
Also in Yaakov and
Yes, 7 times. It's for sure pshat, and he bowed down 7 times. You look right there in the Balaturim. Ishtachu sheva pamim artza. It says the Balaturim keneged apasuk sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. That it's when you're getting your koach from kedusha, you look like you're falling. Like the quintessential Ben Torah is. But v'kam, like here it is. It's here. It's working. It goes forever. So you have to decide. You want to go for the short term, tremendous excitement, or of sitra achra, or do you go for the long term kedusha, the way the world is supposed to be? Chava decided wrong. So let me.
So 7 times Yaakov, and then the 11 banim. That's 18.
Very nice.
11 what?
So here's where we are with the sitra achra, that ispakaku kol achulya shebeshidra is a complete hachna of the sitra achra. It's the shmona esrei. It's a complete hachna, and that's why it's not all the chulios. It's only the chulios. What I started saying is that Reuven Beckermish told me that if you look at a better chart than this, the chut hashidra actually ends at 18. If you start it after the neck, it actually ends at 18 and it turns into a lulav. A lulav is, in other words, it's not a chut hashidra. Keneged shmona esrei chulya shebeshidra. The shidra itself is only 18 long, intraphysically, and then it starts to spread out. You can't really identify. Sometimes, let's say the luz is here. So the question is, did the luz ever be makabel koach from the sitra achra? That's the question we have to ask. But what happens is when you're bowing down, you're breaking the fact that we got our this is a kapara for the chet of Adam Arisha. Every time you bow down, in your mispake kol achulya shmona esrei chulya shebeshidra, what you're saying is, I'm getting my koach from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you get up, so this is a pella. If you don't do that, so you turn into a nachash. Al gechain chatelach, he lost all ability to stand straight. The nachash. If you're not breaking the sitra achra, it's not going to last. So achar amisa, it turns your spine turns into a nachash.
Technically, you can do it sitting down while you're sitting down too, because if it stops.
But you need that tailbone in there.
So is it supposed to be a curved bow?
So halachically, and this is the Pella, when you get up, so it says, how do you get up? We know how to get down. How do you get back up again? This is hard when you get older.
No kidding.
Get down. How do you get back up? So you get up. So it says, "Ukisha'Allah kam kechavya." Chavya is a nachash. We got rid of the nachash. If you got rid of the nachash, why are you come kechavya? Chivya is I think the right way to say it. Right? Isn't that a good kasha? Like,
Yeah.
why are you come kechivya? You know, and the Mishnah Berurah says that kam kechivya, when you get up from that ishtachva, the ikar avoda is on your rosh, in your neck. Like it's you know, in other words, like when you go down, so that's ispakaku. So it's not just like this. It's a real bending of the back, right? When you get up, the avoda is here, like that. That's kechivya, like a serpent gets up, right? That's how a serpent gets up. What are we bringing a serpent into this for? Like, there's no other muscle of getting up like than the serpent.
Turning the snake.
So, a chivya, by the way, is specifically a serpent as opposed to a rattlesnake that gets up that way. Not every snake gets up that way. It's got to be like that's dafka chivya. It's a type of a snake. So, probably the pshat is that the avodah b'rosh is with the C1, C2, and C3, you know, that thing, which is where the luz is, and that represents, in other words, that's attached to, the guy's going to explain this, that's attached to the rosh. That's the rosh. That's where the nervous system starts. It's very delicate, by the way. That's what the doctors don't like when chiropractors do, because you're getting very close to the brain over there, into the central nervous system. And what a stroke is a failure of the central nervous system. So you got to be careful. You have to be careful with that area. But it's like Rav Dessler writes that no matter what can be makabel tumah in your life and in your body, your neshama can't be makabel tumah. Meaning, the nachash was able, the nachash and the chet hakadmoni was able to affect everything in Adam except for the luz. And that's why the luz is the one that doesn't decompose. You with me on this?
Yeah.
And that's why the luz is the one that's come b'tchias hamesim. But why would the luz be the birchas haminim? And the answer is, let's understand the birchas haminim for a second. It's not a permanent thing. They messed up everything. That's these guys over here. We're going to be mechaper on that. So the avodah of hishtachavaya is to be mechaper on the chet of the nachash. The kam kechivya is the avodah of the neck, which is saying that there's part of the only part of the serpent which stands up is the neck. That represents the part that cannot be affected by the sitra achra. The sitra achra will never power a neshama. That's why the neshama lasts. There's hashras hanefesh, even after the guf is gone. It's because the guf is the guf, you know. But the neshama will last all the way into tchias hamesim, and that's why come b'tchias hamesim. There's a permanence to that neshama, and that's represented over here. So it says the Mishnah Berurah that the avodah of the getting down is the avodah of the shidra. The avodah getting up is avodah of the neck and the head. It's a different thing. And then your back follows your head. It's so beautiful. The choreography of it is so beautiful, because what's happening now is you're coming up. It's like Rav Hirsch writes that when in the siddur, he says, when you get up, you're a whole new person, invigorated by God. So it's so nice. I mean, the depth of what goes behind that line. I'm coming up with a whole new koach, but it's the koach of the chivya that can get up. And so once a kapara for, let's say it this way. I don't know if this is true, but let's just say it this way. Let's not very so easy. One's a kapara for the chet of Adam Arishon, and it's so interesting that what was her oynish Chava? Her oynish was that
pain of childbirth.
Be'etzav tel dibanim. The tsar of but it's the tsar of the sacral.
Yeah.
B'zeyas hapecha toichel lechem. That was him. Back-breaking labor. it's all about the that which carries the body, the posture, the v'zeias hapecha toich aleichem. No, you have to bend down now. You're going to have to work the earth. You're going to have to. And the snake is al gechayin chatelach. You lost your posture completely. Snake was standing up, the only one, but you lost your posture completely. But the part that you can't lose is the chivya. And that's what, so one's an avodah for kaparas chet ha'adam, and one's an avodah for kapara, or some kind of a kapara for the chet ha'nachash, that we can stand on. And that's our shmona esrei.
I'm sure you'll get into it, but
Do we have the whole shmona esrei here? Because we understand the whole nervous system, how it works into every one of the brachas of the shmona esrei. And what about the esrei, the little luz up on top over there? We got a bracha for that also, even though that's not part of what moves. But that's Lamal Shinim Al Tisikva. Lamal Shinim Al Tisikva means that don't worry, they will never destroy Klal Yisrael, and they will never destroy the Yid, because there's a part of us that can't be destroyed, and that's that esrei, that's the luz, which is on the top of the spine. It'll never be destroyed, and it'll become B'tchias HaMesim, because the neshama will never be destroyed. Let's move on to. I'm sorry. I lose my train of thought very easily. I'm sorry. Let's just move on very quickly to the mizbeach. Well, you know what?
I just want to ask why those
Four questions?
No. Why those 4 places in Shmona Esrei do we do that?
Oh, that's a good question. I got to get into it. They used to do it every place, but we don't do that anymore. So let's explain that maybe now.
Okay.
What are the 4 divisions of Shemona Esrei, which at least if we can't understand all 18, we can understand the divisions.
Also, the bowing that like Yaakov did to Esav sounds like it's all the way down to the ground. Is that because he's doing it in a language that Esav would understand? It's not Shem, it's more of a...
No, it's not because of that. But let me mention this, that the Arizal says that this machlokes seems to be the Arizal and maybe the Shulchan Aruch. I'm not 100% sure about this. Halacha, that the ikar hishtachavayos of Shemona Esrei is only begav, not beneath. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody goes like this, Baruch Atah. So that's the Arizal says not like that. And those that are mekubalim don't do anything with the knees. It's Baruch Atah. And then it's a bending of the back and oil kechavya. Nothing to do with the knees. Va'anachnu kairim u'mishtachim, and that's a different. That's a different avodah. So says the Arizal. But the brachos, and in the non-Kabbalah poskim, so they say bracha is lashon barach because you bend your knees. The Arizal says no, bracha is lashon brecha. Nothing to do with knees. The machlokes pashat and taich of the word barach. The Mishkan. So the Mishkan. I'll show you a picture. So Mishkan is, and then the Beit HaMikdash also, is divided into 3 parts. You have the Chatzar HaMishkan, you have the Kodesh, you have the Kodesh HaKodshim, or Kodesh HaKadoshim, as they like to say in yeshivas. 3 parts. And the Goin connects the Shemona Esrei, the Shidra, and this. The lulav we know is for the Shidra, and all the different minim are. And we know lulav, as I pointed out, is the same gematria as Chaim. It's the Shidra. The main thing over here with the Mishkan is that the Zohar points out, is that if you go to the Chatzar, well, you have out here, outside is where the whole Klal Yisrael was. And here, the Chatzar HaMishkan, this was like a noisy place. It was like a tumult. The cows and blood and fire, and, it just looked like, Lag Bomer, over here, moo. Everything was noisy over here. And then you went into the Kodesh. You didn't go in, but if you're a Kohen, you go in. The Kodesh was a quiet place. There was no karbanos in the Kodesh. Here you have the Mizbeach HaNechoshes, the Makriv Karbanos. And here you have the Mizbeach HaKtoros, Mizbeach HaZav. It was a finer, purer thing. So, Ketores. And then here in the Kodesh Kedoshim, there was Rikas Hadam, but there was nothing, not even Avodas HaKetores. And what you're going is from Minakal al Akosha, if you will. You're going from a more Gashmi place to Ketores, which is a more Ruchnius place, to the Kodesh HaKodshim, which nobody goes into except for once a year, the Kohen Gadol. And there's very little avodah that's going there. It's just there. It's there all the time, but that's energizing everything, right? I'll give you a mashal of the three different madregas here that the Zohar says in Parshas Pekudei. The Zohar says that over here you had the Atzei Hamarach, like wood. So they kept wood. People chopping trees and bringing wood, and there was always wood going on, always fire going on, a fire, a big fire with flame, kind we like to see, like Gishmak, a lot going on. Then what? When the fire dies down and the wood becomes gacholim leichashos, whispering coals. So those are more effective, by the way, but it doesn't make as big of a tumult. So, like, if you can imagine, it's less gashmi, more ruchni. You take those coals, this is what it says in the Chumash, you take those coals from the Atzei HaMaracha that came from the Mizbeach HaNachoshes, and you put them into a machabas, and you bring them into the Kodesh. And it's on those coals that you bring them into here, onto this Mizbeach, Hazov, and that's where you're makter Ketores. The meaning, what you're starting off with is a big tumult, and then it matures to a quiet place. The coals are a quiet place, not less hot, more hot. Everyone knows you want to get a good barbecue, wait till the fire goes down. Well, the coals are the hot things, and when they're whispering, it's amazing. And there you makter the Ketores. Ketores is an avodah of the af. Is that something you eat, like shlamim? It's a avodah of the af, because vayipach ba'apov nishmas chayim. The af is the derech to the neshama. Derech to the neshama. It's not the neshama, but it's the derech to the neshama. Eza hanosh ha-neshama tliya ba zu hanos hareach. The Gemara says lamed beis and brachas. Shenemar. What's the pasuk? What's the pasuk? Kol ha-neshama tahaloka. What kesher? I'm smelling besamim on Motzei Shabbos. What's kol ha-neshama tahaloka? So significant, by the way, this besamim on Motzei Shabbos. But I can't talk about everything. But this is the avodas ha-neshama. So you take this fire, I'd say maracha, cows, everything very holy, and you take it el pnima, and the pnima is quiet and becomes ketores, avodas haneshama, and from there, the innermost place, nobody's going, and this represents. I'm paraphrasing the Zohar. The place that nobody goes represents the keser of the spheros. This is all spheros, but the keser of the spheros. And what's our avodos ha-keser? No avodah. It's just there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is just there. It's not this. I want to say something very radical now. And, because everything I've been saying has been very conservative. So I want to say something very, very radical. I think it's connected a lot of what we've been taught, because people teach it don't know. We know that Shamayim. Our parnas, our health, Modern lashon in the Torah, in the Chazal, Rapa Yirape Mekanshin Niten Rishus Leroy Fe Lerapos. Rishus. The pshat is, like everybody asks, okay, everything's Minas Shamayim. My parnasa, let's say, is Minas Shamayim, so what do I have to go to work for? It's min Shamayim. Well, you got to do ishtadlus. That's what we like to say. Why? Who made that one up? Okay, there's a klola. So you're like, is that one of the Taryag mitzvahs? You know, Yer Sameach says is one of the Taryag mitzvahs is Sheishes Yamin Tasim Malach Say it. But I'm saying, like, we're going to be Mekayim the klola. What's the pshat in this hishtadlus? The pshat is that that the fact that Akol B'dei Shamayim is not an avodah. That's a fact. The fact is Hakol B'dei Shamayim. When you're in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, then Hakol B'dei Shamayim, and that's all true everywhere. That the Shechina Sharoi B'Yisrael, and they open up these paroiches, which talks about now the divisions, the different paroiches are the divisions in the Shemona Esrei Gufa. But they didn't open up the Kodesh HaKadoshim. This was a place which represented the luz, the neshama which never goes away, the neshama that doesn't decompose, that which is come b'tchiyas hamesim. It's what's the radical part over here is you don't do ishtadlus because ein soim chanal anes. Why not? You do ishtadlus because we're not living in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. We're living in the Kodesh or in the Azar or in Malchus down here. That's why we do ishtadlus. We do ishtadlus because our avodah, just like the avodah of the chutzner, is with cows and with fire. And you could do less malacha if you're on a higher madrega of kodesh, which is the malacha of ketores. But the avodah of no teva of the kodesh hakadoshim, that's not an avodah. That's a metzias. The metzias is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu never goes away. Harbe, my son, who's a rabbi in Norfolk, told me that, what he gives us, very interesting, he gives us history class. I don't know if you've ever seen, I had this thing called Milestones in Jewish Philosophy. It's good course I have on tape. But so my son was asked to give a 13-part series in the JCC of Norfolk, Virginia. Reformed Jews, only Reformed Jews go there. And he talked about history, but and he went through this milestones class, and it was Baruch Hashem, like tremendous. They asked him tremendous Kiddush Hashem just for them to understand like the basics of emes and history and what's going on. You know, Yiddishkeit wasn't invented yesterday or didn't evaporate yet. Like it's still there. But he was always telling me that yesterday was his last class. So one of the women asked him like, what do these, Haredim think in Israel that, how do they expect to make a parnasa if they don't work? So, no kasha. So Sandra said that, the Gemara asked that question. Harbe also will also be other. Rav Bar Yochai came to the Madrega in the cave, where he was either in the Kodesh or the Kodesh HaKodshim. It was something that he was able to, his boxer tree and this and he needed very little, by the way. But you can't be Rav Bar Yochai if you're not Rav Bar Yochai, as the Gemara says. Harbe asukain, v'lo also biyadam. Many people tried to crawl into the Kodesh. V'lo also biyadam. So in terms of the avodah, the avodah is the avodas hachotzer, avodas ha'adam, and the avodah is the avodas hakodesh, which is the ruchnius, and then there's this the chotzer oil moyed. The paroiches, the going to the kodesh hakadoshim, which the Goyin is going to tell us if we ever get to it. That, but when we get to it, it'll be really easy because the avodah of this paroiches is to be mafchin bein avodah la'enoi avodah. It's not an avodah, and it's the luz, and it's tchias hamesim. It's the part that will never get destroyed, but it's the metzias of HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'olamai that no matter how much we're working, and no matter how much we're going to doctors, and no matter what we're having to do in terms of hishtadlus in this world, Hakol B'dei Shamayim. It's not an avodah of Hakol B'dei Shamayim. It's a metzias of Hakol B'dei Shamayim. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a metzias. Avakol b'dei Shamayim. You don't have to overdo it either. I'm not saying you have to do what you have to do. Like Chavis Avava said, you have to do what you have to do. But the Metzias is, the people, even big Gedolim did you see in the Chazal, they did their Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. They did their malacha, but there was a complete presence of Kodesh HaKadoshim in everything that they did. B'chol drach echad, everything that they did had the Kodesh HaKadoshim energy into it. So we're out of time, but let me just say one more thing. This week's parsha, Ish al machaneu v'ish al digloi. The Medrash Rabbah starts off beautifully. Ahu desiv diglu alai ava, Shlomo Melech. Haviani al beis hayoyin. Diglu alai ava. The Ramban explains that, I was looking for the Lashon, it's at the beginning of Bamidbar. The Ramban explains, let's take a look at it outside, you can look at it over Shabbos, that like these degolim, the flags, it's like the younger Shamayim, The Ramban explains that Rashi says that every flag had a different color. And they were the same colors, by the way, as the Choshen. The Ramban says, but Lieser Oimek, that they all had different pictures on it also. And one was a shor, and one was an ari, one was an adam, one was, and he said it was the same. He says it was the same pictures with the adam ems, the same pictures as the Ma'aser Merkava. Meaning, if you would have taken a drone shot, an aerial view of Klal Yisrael, says the Ramban, you would have a picture of the Ma'aser Merkava. And in the middle of the whole thing was the Leviim, in the middle, which were they were in the center of all of the different Degalim. And in the middle of that center was the Mishkan. In the middle of the Mishkan, the center of the Mishkan was the Kodesh HaKodeshim. And that was the Ma'aser Merkava. That was the Ma'aser Merkava. That was what that was. So it is like, don't ever look at it differently again. When you're talking about, they didn't have Degalim, by the way, until they had a Mishkan. L'shana Hashenis, B'tzeisam and Mitzrayim, that's when they had Degalim. They didn't have Degalim. They weren't waving flags at Har Sinai. That was when you have to have a Mishkan, because when they had the center point, which is the Kodesh HaKodeshim, and that's the presence, that's a Metzias. You don't have to go in there, and they don't do anything there when you go in there. But then there was Avodah, and more Gashmiistic Avodah. We said on Sunday that the Mizbeach and Achoshes, if you go through the spheres, is Yisoid, which is Yosef Hoya b'Mitzrayim. It's already in the Gashmius a little bit. This Mizbeach Hazav is Keneged Yaakov Tiferes. But the Keser, the Kodesh HaKodeshim, Ish Lo Yalasham, like nobody goes there. That's just a Metzias of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in our lives. It's stronger than an Avodah. And that was the nevuah of Yecheskel. As much as we don't understand it, this much we can understand. The nevuah of Yecheskel is that there was a shor and an adam and an ari. That was exactly what it was. And the Shechina B'Emtza, on wheels. It's moving even without the Beit HaMikdash. It's going with us into Golus. And this was represented by the fact that Klal Yisrael is moving. Klal Yisrael is moving through the Midbar. Wandering Jew. And this is the Shechina on wheels. That's what Merkava means, Shechina on wheels. So, just like a machshava to go through Ma'aver Sedra and Parshas Bamidbar, what's going on. Diglu alai ava. Because Baruch Hu had such diglu alai ava, had such nachas from, on the one hand, the individuality of every shevet, and everyone understood that they have to do their thing, and everyone has a different purpose, and you're a farmer, and you're a seaman, and you're a learner, everybody had to do their thing, but the whole thing is that the center of the whole thing has to be the Mishkan. That has to be the center. If that's not the center, then, I speak about a board where Rabbi Yaacov Haber says a beautiful zach. He says, Emes Liyaakov. He says that why did they make the Degalim Taka right away? Why did they make it Shana? why they wait till Shana Hashenis? So he said that if you have the golem without a Mishkan, he says what you're having is just a lot of pirud. I do this, you do that, we go, I'm right, you're right. You have to have the hub in the middle in order to give all of these different parts of Klal Yisrael meaning. So it wasn't until Shana Hashenis that it was possible to have the golem. So you can't, so here's the Seder on the farm, like the year doesn't end with Yom Kippur, it starts with Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Starts with Yom Kippur. You start with the fact is the Kodesh Kodshim. Akol B'dei Shamayim, that's how you work out to going into all the way from Chesed Gvur Tiferes Natzachoy Yisoid all the way into Malchus until you're going mamish deep into the ground. Yisoid is Yosef Hayyim b'Mitzrayim, and then more we became Avodim b'Mitzrayim, not a Melech b'Mitzrayim. Avodim b'Mitzrayim to be Malad and so it says Mem Tesh Shari Tuma mamish. You have to go down Mem Tesh Shari Tuma. In order, that's what Malchus means. Mem Tesh Shari Tuma until you could be Oila Tar Sinai, and that's how the whole thing comes together from Shmona Esrei to Parshas Midbar.
It's like 12 middle brachas, huh?
Yes, 12 middle brachas. Very good.
Did the